Am I audible, Ankita?
Yes, yes, Shubha.
Voice is clear, right?
Yes.
Okay.
A very good afternoon to all of you. I'm Ankita from NASSCOM. Also, I have with me my colleague Shreya to help us with the sessions flow. Today, we have a session scheduled from our data science series, and Shubha Sethu Madhavan, VP and Global Head, Product Strategy, 24/7 AI. She will share her knowledge and experience on conversational AI driving memorable customer engagement. You can ask questions anytime during the session. Shubha will try to cater most of them during and after her presentation. Also, please leave your valuable feedback after this session to help us better my future webinars. Welcome, Shubha, and over to you.
Thanks, Ankita. Am I audible and clear?
Yes, I can hear you. I hope all of us can hear Shubha. You can always write in the chat box. Yes, Shubha, good to
Sure.
go.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Ankita. Good evening, all, and I'm Shubha, a VP and Global Head of Product Strategy at 247.ai, a global product company that specializes in providing end-to-end customer experiences through its powerful customer engagement cloud platform, which in turn is powered by industry-led conversation AI. So just give a snapshot for people that are not aware of 247.ai. We are recognized by the leading analysts like Forrester's as the leader in the wave of conversational AI. And we serve around 1.2 billion bot interactions and 50 million human-based interactions in a year and handle around 275 million web visitors in a month. So that's a kind of customer experience we deal with. And today I would like to present from my experience how we would enable brands and enterprises to provide meaningful customer experiences, are orchestrating through the best of AI and human intelligence. So like we all know, the opportunity is huge for all enterprises and brands across the globe if they are laser focused on how they offer meaningful customer experiences. If they are focused on that, then there is a huge opportunity for the brands. And I just had a question. Why would anybody here reach out to a brand, say like a telco like Airtel or a bank? Anybody would like to answer that? Okay, so we all would reach out to an enterprise, right? A brand, which is like a telco or an retailer, bank, whoever it may be, for like, only, however hard you think, only for two purposes, which is to buy something from them or to get something service that you bought from them. So the overall trick that we have understood is to ensure we understand the key customer or the business intents around both the sales and the service journeys and provide the right intent treatment across multiple channels. So having said that, like today, the tech companies have created habits. If you see, they're like the new intermediaries with and without you, like as a enterprise, with and without the enterprise, these companies will change the consumer behaviors. And we all know that they create a network that is so convenient that people would never leave the device. So we understood that this coming shift has been big, and we also realized that adapting to this shift is not easy. It requires a lot of thinking, but if you do it right, customer satisfaction will go up while the cost can go down. So this is the challenge, and every challenge comes up with an opportunity for us. And there are many different ways that consumers search online today. And like say you want to look for what is the best plan that you can get. So everybody does a Google, and the Google searches for like the 800 numbers, and they kind of provide you the ways to contact, either to connect to a company or like you to call them for a service, customer service that you want to do, and so on. So the pure digital players that are requiring brands to evolve their customer experience models, customer behaviors, and they're like driven by the search experiences. What we see is like most of the calls that get into the contact centers, around 60 to 80% calls that get into the contact centers originate from Google searches. So if now you can imagine, if this is so very powerful, if somebody like Google kind of gives messaging also along with the digital calls, if they provide a digital connect in customer care today, they started to offer a messaging option in addition to the website call and direction option, if you notice. And once they started, you can imagine the what percentage of the calls that go to the contact center would actually get converted to a digital messaging from a customer into an enterprise. So that's a huge paradigm shift that we are looking at. And all big tech giants like the Google, Apple, Facebook have all introduced business messaging. And we do see that this is the statistics on how many people send messages on the different messaging channels, which is Facebook Messenger, Google Messaging, Apple Business Chat, WeChat, WhatsApp, and so on. All of them have opened up for business messaging. So that means the customer behavior is clearly shifting. You don't always take the phone and call for customer support. So there are many more means to engage with the brand or an enterprise and get your queries resolved. And at the same time, all these are means for a brand to reach out to the customer, keep them continually engaged, and have any upsell, cross sell, or rather the right sell opportunities for the customers. So this is the behavior shift that we've been seeing. And to top it, like we've also seen the digital pure players are setting a benchmark in the customer expectation. The likes of the Uber, Airbnb, they have been delivering seamless digital experiences, and the trend they have set has set a new benchmark bar for customer experiences, and the customer now knows exactly what happens in the website, on the app. And so it's like the enterprises are forced to go meet the customers where they are, and it like kind of is required for them to rethink the ways they engage with the customer. And the COVID-19 has also is bringing in shifts in the customer experience. Earlier, you might go in person for something very important. You might even go to the Airtel office, for instance, to get something done. So all of those opportunities are going away. And so that provides opportunity for enterprises to digitally connect with the customer. So again, there is a reimagining of a customer engagement that's happening in the world. So having said all this, what are the three key trends in the engagement models that we see? So one to name is the accelerated adoption of messaging that we saw. The customer behaviors that you see has soon become the enterprise behaviors. They have to go to the customers or the consumers on where they are, and the power of customer interactions with have to be powered with the conversational AI. While you connect to the customers at different touch points, we should not forget to provide the best connected and continuous experiences. You might be talking to them on different channels, but they should always get the feeling that it's the same brand that's talking to me on all the channels. And there has to be a continuation of the conversation that happens. And to name the first one, which is what are the messaging benefits, this is a snapshot of the benefits that you can get from the messaging. And from our experiences with the brands that we've offered messaging, we've seen that the customers are not in a hurry to complete the conversation to get their query solved. And they're not in a they don't want to be in a hurry to lose the connection, and they should be in a position to come back when they want and have the conversation. And they are really okay to wait, like say for 10 minutes also, if the conversation is meaningful and somebody is trying to resolve their query. But of course it depends on the urgency of the intent. Like say somebody is missing a flight, and the airlines is asking taking 10 minutes for a response for every query, that doesn't help. So the urgency combined with the ability to hold the customer for however long in many of these channels kind of play together. And all the conversations can be front-ended by a bot, and the tougher intents can be served slow and rightly by the human agents without the need to keep nudging the customers and so on. And we've seen that this has led to significant improvement in the CSAT and the NPS scores, and also the enterprise's customer care productivity. So these are the benefits of messaging. And then when we go to the conversational AI, today most conversational AI tools, they try to provide simple, generic, and kind of have generic solutions for problems. But what we've understood is the deep domain expertise in customers in the consumer servicing is paradigm and key to be very productive and to have a faster resolution. So all voice and messaging based interactions, because the 1-800 calls have not gone away, we still call 121, like say in case of Airtel, all the time. So they are there to stay. In fact, the percentage is like around 80-20, the calls versus digital. And that's what is shifting with like the behaviors from the tech giants like Google and the Apple and the likes. So all the voice and messaging interactions require conversational AIs to drive the best customer service automations. And the conversational AIs should encompass, from our experience, what we have seen is like the top intent discovery, the from the pool of conversations that have happened, and how we can bootstrap with vertical industry models and bots to start the conversation from day one to keep the bots effective, and the way to build it very quick, and also have a very good understanding of the customer intents in the both sales and the service journeys to have a very meaningful customer engagement. So these are some things that we've read from our experience, and we've seen that there are banks that even go up to 70 to 80% of resolution and containment within bot, the resolution rates of 70 to 80%. And some major airlines also have resolutions of up to 85 to 93% and without a human interaction. So that's from our experience. And then when we are providing, talking to all the customers on different channels, there is a lot of cost involved because every channel addition comes with a cost. And if we add them in isolation, that creates a journey silos. And this increases the cost in resolution eventually. So while we throw different channels for to connect to the customers, we have to be cognizant of the fact that we still give them a connected experience from behind. And like after examining our about like 8,000 customer journeys, Gartner found that most customers are using both live and self-serve channels in their attempts to resolve every single customer journey. And if you see that there is a channel hop that happens, and there is also like only like there's a containment in the self-serve is is to this percent, and there are 61% of the customer services that kind of at least take one live agent help in the conversation. So this has been the trend. And so to enable a seamless customer journey is not that easy. So how do we achieve that? And so the what we found from our experience is the way to provide connected experiences, we have to rethink the customer entry points, which is apart from the website and the mobile apps. How do we enable discoverability by partnering with the Google, Facebook, Apple, and so on, and they be the change agent or the discoverability champion, and we be the ones which is powering it from behind. And how do we use, so these are some of the experiences that they provide today. And then how do we actually utilize the conversational AI across the different customer journeys? We will see that in a slide later on how that is done. And most importantly, it's AI can only do so much. So we believe in a human need not do it all, but the bot cannot do it all. So how do we perfectly blend both together and make the conversation journey effective? So we've seen success in bringing both the AI and human intelligence together to solve for customer problems, being very effective. For example, if you see the Toyota of the world, like he said, I'm going to give AI to the drivers rather than coming up with a driverless car. So, and many of us have experienced it, and that has been a pretty good, help for a driver and helps him drive very smooth. So we also go by a similar philosophy that we need to bring the right the blend of AI and human to achieve a right set of customer experience. So to finally, the key to success is how well we combine the systems of engagement and the intelligence and seamlessly integrate with all the systems of record that the enterprise has to provide a contextual customer experience. So the way we blend these three together and how effectively we blend it is kind of yielded good CSAT or an NPS for us. And of course, we've learned from a lot of failure cases, and that's been the learning we've taken forward for to make the engagement better in other places. So this is on how the AI is applied, can be applied across the entire customer experience journey. Uh, Here you see that starting from the speech recognition, that is, if you see, there is the ASR or the speech recognizer that can recognize you as you and what is the intent that you have come in for, the questions you answer. So there is, you can provide an NL based speech recognizer, and the that's in the voice world, and you can also augment all the customer experience channels. Today we see that the Google search is actually powered by a voice, Google Voice all the time. So you can actually enable a talk, we call it talk to text, on top of a very every digital channel of connect also, and make it very easy and effective for a customer. So AI plays there. And then in the intent classification, once the customer says what he wants, so there are many levels of intent classification. One is the business intent classification, where you know the level one intent, I want to check my bill status. So that's the first level. And then every question that he asks, how do we interpret that and provide the best answer and take him to in the right path of action. So that's on the intent classification. And the conversational AI powered by real-time sentiment detection. And we also provide, we worked on providing like the social intents. How do you do social intent treatments, like words like simple intents like the sorry, thank you, and so on. So how do you handle those social intents? So that's a a model that can handle those. And apart from providing the direct conversational AI interactions to the customer directly, there is also agent assist AI, which is we can actually provide to the human agent that is on a call with the customer or is digitally chatting with the customer on any of the channels. So we provide an agent assist AI where there is a, we do a content curation. The enterprises tend to have a lot of unstructured content. So as the customer is having a conversation, the bot is also listening step by step, and it provides real-time next best response or a next best action, and also summary from the curated KM systems. Which like the agents need not go search for it. It gives a summary of the relevant one, so he can take a look at it and respond back. So when we are not very sure if the bot can handle it very well in itself, we provide that support to agents. Multiple times we actually use it for training the bot. As the agent uses it and he increases the confidence score, and the confidence score goes super high, like 95, 90, then we kind of release it as a, you can release, you're ready to release it as a bot to the customers also. So this is something that we do, and we call it the agent assist AI. And then there are like, you can offer the statistical models in the form of, like say there are a million or more visitors into a website. And if you are a brand, you want to get attention from them, and your intention is to sell something to them. So you don't have to talk to every person in the million visitors, but the statistical model can help you recognize the ones with the propensity to buy, the propensity to even engage with you. And then you have conversations only with a subset of people. That way, you are not burning the resources which is more than required from the brand and enterprise. At the same time, you have better conversions. So these are some of the areas where the AI plays in. And on top of it, like to make this work, there is also a need for enterprises. And when we say enterprises, that could be an enterprise or a mid-market enterprise, an SMB. So it could be any market that we're looking at. When you look at the enterprises, they generally kind of, from our experience with the large telcos, banks, and so on, they expect a do-it-yourself tool because they have a lot of IT presence in them. So sometimes they want to try it themselves. Though we can bootstrap with the vertical intents, if like say the banking has 120 intents, the retail has like say 130 intents, you can bootstrap it for the behavior that should they and the experience that it should have for those intents. But there are enterprises, if it is a large scale, they have their IT team who want to create their own experiences. So they need a DIY or the do-it-yourself tools to build their own bots. Of course, they will utilize the vertical models that you provide and so on, but they would want to create it themselves and do like A/B testing to see how many times the bot fails and how many times it's been successful, learn from it, and go back and finalize on, okay, this is the journey, this is the board I want to run for my enterprise. So if it's a large enterprise, there is a need to provide the toolkit along with the experiences we provide. And our experiences, if it's mid-market, they tend to take like a complete solution. And there is also help that they have looked at for us from a professional services perspective to help them in the deployments and be like also take care of the outcomes of the customer engagement. So we've done like we've seen experiences where we sign up for outcomes. So like we do an end-to-end solutioning and provide the customer experiences. And if the customer experience is not up to the mark, then it's like a kind of a share of the outcomes and so on. So that kind of we've had places where we've succeeded, and there are failures where we learn from and then taken the right step forward. So and in enterprises, we give the DIY tool, and then there also we provide professional services. So there are options for the bank or a telco to pick from the toolkit that we provide and the professional services we provide. But the end game is, how do we provide the right customer experiences by applying the all these you and the applicable ones in depending on the journey. So the intents could be, we've seen that the intents could be simple ones, like can you just tell me the bill amount? And the intents could be very complex. I want to change my plan to what I have, to I need to add 4 more people to my plan. Can you give me a better plan? What are the options you have? So it could be a very complex one. So uh, we have termed this like a conversation continuum, right from like a search, you enter a website and search for something and the response comes up. There is AI involved in that. And then uh, it can even translate to a conversational form, like your FAQ questions, just a frequently asked questions, very simple ones, and you get the answers. So that's the conversational form of getting answers. And then you can actually move on to a very complex question, which is the transactional bot, and then to even super complex ones where the human needs to come in. And since we believe in the human agent and the virtual agent, orchestration together or stay always work in tango, we provide a framework where the bot can front end transactions and bring in the SMEs, human SMEs as required, to the extent that the human can come and find out, oh, you didn't understand this. The bot can say, I didn't understand this intent. So the human can do an intent disambiguation and put it back into the flow. And then the bot takes it from there and runs so that it doesn't come to the human overall. And it says, hey, I don't see this data. Can you pick this and give it to me? So somebody can give it also. So there are multiple places where the bot-led journeys can take a human intervention and run it, take itself into the path of success. And if the agent is front-ending a conversation, it can actually have a list of, he can actually have a list of bots that he can view from. And if there is a particular part of the journey which needs human intelligence, cognitive thinking, he can handle that, and the rest of it he can put it to the bot, telling the customer, I'm going to leave you with a bot now, and that will finish this transaction for you, help you with the form filling and so on, and then take it back. They even backend bots that you can run that way. So we call that's the agent-led conversation with bot assisting him, and the agent-led conversation where the bots can give recommendations and next best responses. So we've seen that this whole journey of human AI orchestrations have led to like around 8 to 9% of CSAT improvement in NPS points, and so on. So that's been a journey, and we're still learning from that and evolving as we go. And when we spoke about the tools, which is the tools to create the AI, and so that kind of translates to a bot life cycle. And so all of us call and talk to agents, voice agents, and like with all the channels now, you can uh, talk to, or chat and have a conversation with excuse me, digital agents. So all these conversations are recorded, and we know the best agents who have always resolved well, the ones with high CSAT, NPS, very good scores in terms of the time they took to resolve and so on. So we can pick the best of those transactions and pass it on to the tools. We call it the like, you can have like a model workbench which passes through that and comes back with all the best ways to classify intents and so on. And the other part is, there are two parts to this. One is to make the bot behave like the best agent, and the other is to understand if there are like say 100 intents, to understand that these are the top 20 intents that I have to keep focusing on. Taking the same Airtel example, like he might find that every time, 50% of the time, my customer comes to me for, say, a billing mismatch or for plan changes. So he needs to put his effort a lot on making his top intent treatment powerful. So the intent discovery is like a semi-supervised discovery mechanism that enables a brand or enterprise to take all the data in and provide an automated discovery of these are the intents and these are the top intents, and so you can focus on it. And once you know the intents, then you can actually next step do a flow discovery. Which are the best paths that has been taken by the bot, or it could be a human conversation? Which are the best paths? Which are the paths of failure? And then you do the conversation design in a manner that you can make the conversation go in the right path to the benefit of the customer. So, so this is like a bot cycle, and where we can focus on one, how do you, the parts you see below are how you tag your conversations and make the every conversation very powerful for a better AI, and how you feed it into something like a model workbench and to get the best intent classification. And the other journey is, you have a huge set of data, using that to discover the intents, using that to discover the best flow to come up with the best conversation design, and so the bot development. Both of this combined together, one happens offline, the other happens real time. Then you come up with the journeys, and then you can test your journeys, where when you're testing your journeys, you always have an agent supervising it. And if it works well for 100 times, that means you can like put it out for like a million times. So you test it in a lab condition and then make it go live. So this is more like a bot cycle, which have proven very useful for us. Of course, it takes years of investment and R&D into building some of these, but there are open sources which we've used to get the bot life cycle built. And so this is an example of like this is of the auto intent discovery. If you see, there are like 24,000 conversation that's gone in, and after noise removal, you have 16,500 potential intents of 152, and you have a top intent of 15, which the organization or the enterprise has to focus on. And this is like a view of the top intents by volume. So you know which ones are key and what should you focus on. And once you know the intents, how do you know that this has to go be handled by a bot, this needs to be handled by a human, or this needs a combination of both? So we put it on a matrix of task complexity and interactivity, where the task complexity moves from informational like to a transactional one, and interactivity moves from like a single response, which is your FAQ bots, to deep conversational ones. So once you map them, this is a sample of like from a brand on like where his conversations percentage reside. So if it's in this first quadrant, it means you can botify it much easier, and they are more of a single response informational FAQ bots. They can be enabled on the search and enabled on the FAQ also. That's your first quadrant about. And if it's conversational and it's informational, you can still get it done by a bot, and there could be a simple dialogue to a complex dialogue. And at some points, like if it is a transactional one and it's also a conversational one, the complexity is high. As you move towards the right hand side, you may need integrations with the systems much more, like the API play is very high. Of course, there is an API play in all four quadrants, and the bot has to have a better interclassification, and it may reach out to humans to get intent disambiguations, and the escalations, as we call it, to humans to handle this could get more and more as we move towards the top right corner. So we classify the intents. If you classify the intents of the enterprises, then you know like so many of the intents can be botified, and it makes sense to modify. And at in for these intents, you need to bring like the bot and the human together to orchestrate and get the experience out. So this is a matrix that's done usually to get to the right blend and mix of AI and human involved in the conversation. So this is an example which I said of how the agents, as they are in a conversation, can tag, we call it the collaborative tagging, can tag the conversation with the intent, resolution. So a tagged conversation is super useful as you train and take it to the bot. And IVA is like the artificially intelligent virtual agent, which is a code name. And the auto-discovered flows, when you get the flows, you can look at the dominant parts and what are the success parts, and design the conversation design of the bot accordingly to get to the best bot experiences. This is a summary snapshot from one of the brands, like, oh, these are the intents that were automated. This is the percentage of resolution that it achieved. And some of the business benefits, like say 48 out of the 143 journeys were automated. And like if you see, the level one contacts were removed. 27% of the journeys with the intents were contained within the bots, and you actually could remove 66K agent contacts per month, and that's like a saving of 62 human agents who can be diverted to much tougher customer problems to be handled. So this is a snapshot of bot performance for a brand. And having gone through this journey, I would like to, leave behind a thought of, uh, while the conversation AI is very, very powerful, it is best done when you rightly orchestrate along with the human agent playing as required. The human agent need not do it all, and the bots cannot do it all. So I just wanted to leave you with that thought. And it's all about how we kind of bring the systems of engagement and the systems of intelligence together and well integrated contextually with the system of record that the enterprises have. If we do this well, a first time and all the time, then we've seen success scores, a very successful customer engagement. So that's all I had for as a presentation. If there are any questions on any parts of the presentation, I'm open to answer.
Thank you, Shubha. So now we are opening up for the Q&A round. So please, audience, you can start asking your questions. Hello, everyone. Hi, participants. We have opened up for the Q&A round. Please start asking your questions. You can write your questions either on your chat box, or there is a, there is a icon of Q&A. Shubha, there's a question by Kiran.
Okay.
Can you please give more successful use cases?
Sorry, what was the question? Is it on the chat?
Question is, it is here at the Q&A tab. Are you able to access it, Shubha?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I think there are two questions here. One is, could you explain in more detail about the intent slides, right? I think that's on how the intents are discovered. So like the entire customer engagement is all about how we deal with the intents. How well you know the customer intent, the sooner we anticipate their intent, the faster and better we can respond. So we believe in like the every industry vertical has like a limited set of intents, like say retail, like if it is a retailer, there's around 120 to 130 intents, and we've seen that from working with quite a few retailers. So from that, you know that this is how the intent has to be treated. So we do provide a very powerful intent discovery tool, which kind of gives the enterprise the top intents, and we call it continuous intent discovery, which you can actually on a daily basis have a look at it and see the trend in the intent and which are the intent that's failing, which is performing well, and keep doing a continuous improvement of it. So intent is the keyword for from the start to end of the customer engagement platform. I hope that kind of answered that. And the more successful use cases, okay, there could be different use cases for uh, different domains or the spaces. Like in case of the banking, we have one of the large banks in North America. We save them for serve for the cards section, And we do provide both the voice, which is IVR, the IVR partner, and also the digital partner. So we can we could actually bring up to 72% of resolution for all the card use cases, which means a customer reaches out, asks for like what are the implications of the different cards that they provide, and what is he eligible for, and how it could be what is his eligibility criteria, and how he could sell sorry, buy a card, and so on. So uh, the entire card, like then there is a billing query on if you bought a card, so how do you service him going forward if there is a wrong billing mismatch in what he purchased, and blocking of cards. So the entire card journey is handled for a bank, and many of them are botified, and the rest of them are picked by the human agents. So that's like a set of use cases that we can think of from a banking. And similarly, the telcos, we've seen that in banking, it's more like the poor service leads to customer dissatisfaction. In banking, in telco, first call resolution is being the key player. So how quickly, the very first time when he comes in without a repeat, how do you solve for it, has been the key success factor in case of telco. In retailers, we've seen that personalized experiences is the key to success. So the different verticals, how we cater to the intents of that vertical in the right manner, kind of we've seen success around that. And of course, there's been places where it didn't work, so those are places where we've learned and gotten better. And there's another question: how to build corpus and get going, as we may not have corpus available and always, and how can 24/7 help with automation? So here, yes, uh, on day one when you enter, there is going to be like you build the corpus over a period of time. But if they have been digital agent or a voice agent conversation, there is like you have uh, the the transcripts that's available, so you can curate them and look for like the metrics of the good agents. If it's the CSAT and the NPS scores are very high for some of the conversation, you can pick the best ones and collect the transcript. That becomes the first entry point, and that's how you load it and start on, like we call it the day zero bot, how you get your day zero bot functioning for an enterprise. And over a period of time, you get better by having by improving on as you get the the data collected. Yes, of course, on the automation, whichever sector, there can be help provided. And what is an average time frame required for implementing AI bots? That's a very good question. There are two types of two types of bots in two dimension: the voice and the digital, and the other is the FAQ and the conversational or the transactional one. So depending if it's an FAQ, you can build it out in within in few hours. So if they're simple bots, and there are if there's a long conversational bots, then the do-it-yourself tool or the conversation builder or the dialogue manager can help you in building that out. Uh, if you go with a professional services route to build it, hard coded automated, it can go up to weeks to get a good bot built. With the tools, we've seen success of you can actually get them up and running within 48 hours to 72 hours. If it's a new bot, you can build it. So that's the but we've done both ways, the professional services route and also the tools route for different enterprises. What would you suggest to start building? What would you suggest to start building a chatbot? Build from scratch or use any boilerplate available? Which frameworks do you suggest? What skill sets are required for building one? Yeah, so I think today there are multiple players. As we know, there's a Google Dialog Flow and the Watson and the likes. So if you can utilize many of the dialogue managers that each of the bot framework provides today, and try out bots that would cater to your needs. The FAQ ones are easier to build. The transactional ones come with more, more experience and more training sets that's required to build that out. Okay, the intent discovery, how long does it take? And the categorization, what's the human effort to train the bots? How do you price your solutions? Okay, so the intent discovery is an automated tool, but depending on the amount of data we kind of pump in, it takes around 5 to 6 hours to generate. And sometimes if the data is huge, more than that, to get the intents discovered. We generally kind of try to do it once a day or like once in few days to see how the trend is, but it depends on the volume of the data. Of course, our solutions are based on subscription, so we do subscription based pricing. That's what we do. It's like per messaging, per human agent. So it's a per call minute if it's voice. So it's a subscription based pricing that we do, depending on what part of the solution is taken. So we found success in the subscription based pricing. It's because it's a if it's a SaaS offering. So if it's an on-premise one, of course, it has to be treated slightly differently. So expanded, each industry or company may have multiple intents. How do you build a corpus and get going closely, as we may not have it always? I think we already answered this. Yes, every industry and company will have multiple intents. And as I said, we do build the day zero bots, and post that, as it goes, we learn and we collect more data and improve it as we go. So that's what it is. That's how we do it. But there is a way to do the day zero bot. There is, of course, the algorithm for AI. I'm not a data scientist, so I'm like from product management. So I won't be able to talk about the algorithms inside the AI. But our data sciences team kind of uses supervised, unsupervised learning techniques, different reinforcement learning models, and so on. So I think I'm not the right person to answer the algorithms behind an AI for chatbot. What kind of predictive analysis is done with the data captured from customer complaints for rapid resolutions? So there are multiple analysis which we do. When you get the data from customer complaint, basically one is the real-time sentiment analysis. As the customer enters in the conversation, is he happy or not happy? And like during the conversation, and then when he exits, was he happy or not happy? So that's one of the analysis which we do. And the other is, did we solve for this problem? That's a key analysis that happens. And is this bot solving for, and with the human interventions in between, did it yield a good CSAT, or did he say, yes, I got it solved? And he did not come. Every enterprise has a repeat window. Some of them say 7 days, 15 days. If he came back for the same intent in that many number of days, that means the bot failed, which means there was a repeat for it and it did not work as required. So that's another analysis we do and try to avoid repeats for the same intent. And he could have come on a digital channel for it, and then he could actually get on a voice channel. So how do you, from an omni-channel perspective, if he came for the same intent one more time as a repeat on the other, how well can you know that this is it's a like know that it's the same guy who's come and he was not happy with the digital answer, and he's made a call to answer it, so the digital experience failed. So these are some of the analysis that we do to make the experience better, whether it's bot or human. Is there limitations using RASA when I move forward to a large enterprise use cases? Will I get blocked with the choice of this framework? If you're talking about the security here, yes, we do have many compliance aspects that we take care of, and it's very, very important, especially when you're dealing with the customers, the PCI information, and so on. It has to be taken care of and very sensitive. Not sure if that's what you may ask for here. Is there any privacy implications on what data you can collect generally, or what is minimum security measures I should follow? Yes, of course, every country has its own data collection privacy regulations and laws. So we always have to go with the law of the land, and like, so some places which, as we know, is very strict in the data not going out. And with the GDPR, we have to watch that we have provide a mechanism to delete, forget, and other aspects of the data that we collect from a customer. So yes, there are implications, and anything that we do from customer engagement should uh, abide by those laws and rules. And of course, the security measures comes from multiple factors like the PCI, and for any payment and other transactions, the HIPAA for like a healthcare, and of course, yes, so that needs to be taken care of when, especially, you are trying to provide an experience for a brand or enterprise to a consumer. We need to ensure the vulnerability is we don't put the enterprise, make them vulnerable to any of these. Can bot understand human error and respond correctly? Uh, it depends on the nature of the error. If you program like the bot for that use case of to check if a human is making a mistake and correct it, like in the case when I said agent assist AI, if the human is responding back to questions and the AI is constantly listening, and if it's trying to tell him, we call this conversation compliance. If he missed to answer like a question, and if he moves on, the conversation compliance tells, earlier it used to be human driven, where the the entire transaction would go through a QA. He would take a look at how the conversations have gone, how many times the errors have happened, the human has missed it. Now, both on batch and real time, you can look at, this is a question you missed and you just went forward, like, and this was a compliance thing that you had to do, you didn't do it. So if programmed, we call it the conversation compliance, and that can be handled by a bot when the human is handling the conversation. The next one is, how do you handle multiple language requirements in conversation? Yes, this is a pretty cool one. Yeah. So yes, it's very easy for, in fact, it's very difficult even for a human agent to take conversations in different languages. It's exactly like if I am a human agent, I'm trained only for telco scenarios and in English to answer. So the bot is exactly that. It is trained for telco scenarios and to handle in language. But we have cases where like we do handle multiple languages. It's on the language support that we give to the bot and train them with the different languages. And there are a set of languages that we support, and there are some set of languages which we do not support also. And like the RTL, the right to left kind of languages bring in their own kind of difficulties. So that also have to be handled if we have to support those kind of languages. So, and the next question is, does using services like Google Dialogflow cover such privacy concerns? Yes, Google provides, I mean, to the knowledge that I have on the Google Dialogflow, yes, it does provide a way to create bots, and it is up to the, like, if you run an enterprise and you are the IT team of the enterprise, you can utilize that and with the training set and create the bot. A lot of these private privacy concerns, if it's payment and so on, there are abilities that not very specific to Google, because I don't know how much of those preferences that Google gives, but any of these providers would give the basics, but it becomes the enterprise responsibility to ensure that all the privacy concerns are taken care of before you deploy and make a bot go live. How important is it to have 360-degree view of customers in multi-channel engagement and personalized experience at a scale? How do you achieve this? Please share your thoughts. Of course, very, very important that we have a 360-degree view of the customers. That's why in the last slide also, when I said you need to integrate well with the system of record in the enterprise, mainly the CRM systems, and there could be the billing, order management systems, most importantly, the CRM system. How do you bring the 360-degree view into the bot and also into the agent platform? As a human agent is taking a conversation, how do you provide it rightly? There are things that he wants to know during start of the conversation. There are some things that he wants to know contextually in time during the conversation. So we kind of take care of the different views of the customer that should be known to both the bot and agent at different types of engagement. Yes, to do it at scale, we have concepts like workspace, where you can do customized integrations with the systems of record and bring that back up like the CRM system. And people can look up, if it's a human, it has to be provided in an interface where he can see. If it's a bot, you can actually do it in an API or RPA manner integrated, and bring the intelligence of the customer, like the 360 view, into the channel, bring it and enable it for the agent to talk to the customer in the channels of engagement. The
Hi
next,
Shubha, sorry to bother you, but we have just 2 minutes left before we close the session.
sure, I think there's a few more questions on this and on the chat window.
Mm-hmm.
Should I go ahead and answer?
Sure, Shubha, we can take a one question.
Okay, so I'll go for your thought process on SaaS application post live support for small enterprise applications. Yes, so when we do a SaaS application, uh, of course, it depends on the nature of market, which is the enterprise, mid-market, or SMB that you're providing this for. We have several support models we've seen, which is the standard gold premium that we provide. And there is definitely support from a perspective of the query resolutions that have to be handled. And there is also the need for any professional support that we've handled it by like a fixed price or a T&M kind of a method. And there is also the SLAs, where we need to abide by the SLAs of the L1, L2, L3 support SLAs, where you respond back within the resolution times and the response times. So we kind of set this up for the SaaS applications uh, in the platform. Not only this platform, even in the past on all the SaaS ones. So there are some of these attributes that we have to take care of and set it up. If it's small enterprise, then you have a lot of owners on end-to-end providing the support. You cannot leave it to the enterprise because they may not have an IT organization who will back them up for support. That's from my experience that I can speak. So Ankita, back to you.
Thank you so much,
If
Shubha,
there are
for
more
this amazing presentation.
sure. If there are more questions, you can write to me on my email ID. I can answer back.
Sure. The rest of the question, either the audience, you can reach out to Shubha on LinkedIn, or you can send your questions to me. I'll share it with Shubha and get back to you with the answers. Because this session was of only 60 minutes. So thank you so much, Shubha, for this great presentation. We all really liked it and enjoyed this experiential episode, I must say. And to all the audience, we will come back with an interesting session on 25th of August from the sales and marketing series on the topic Story of Made for India SaaS Product Company by Paramdeep Singh, CEO Field Assist. For more information and hi everyone, am I audible?
Yeah.
All right. For the registrations, please, the details would start reflecting on nascom.in/events from tomorrow. And thank you, Shubha, for your time and efforts for this wonderful webinar.
Thank you. Thanks to you, Ankita, and NASSCOM for providing me an opportunity to speak to this audience. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone. Stay safe. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.